Did you know that since the dawn of quantum mechanics, physics has been disproving the reality of classical— Please stop talking. I know that whatever you're about to say is going to be so confusing and boring that 5 seconds of my attention will quite literally turn my brain into an old can of SpaghettiOs, specifically the meatball kind. I mean, it makes sense that most people don't know what physics has been implying since the late around 1800s because, well, it looks like this. But what I want to show you is how important it truly is for this information to be in public view and in public attention. Because it's been proving that everything around you, your kitchen table, your house, your friends, your mom, your dad, the room you're in, and even your own body, does not exist. Physicists know the truth of reality, and the public should be aware of it. Now, I know what you're thinking. What do you mean all those things aren't real? I can walk up to my cat that I see is there, and I can feel the ground under my feet and feel his fur as I pet him. And I can stand on my desk and not fall through. Well, this is exactly what scientists thought too, until around the late 1800s and early 1900s, when they changed from studying matter on our scale, like a tree or a chair or an apple that would hypothetically fall onto a hypothetical head, to studying matter on a tiny, 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 tiny scale. And once they started doing that, well, matter stopped acting like matter. I mean, there are countless studies that show how matter acts strangely on a small scale, such as de Broglie's 1924 theory that was confirmed with crystals and electrons, Bell's theorem experiments, Clausius's experiments with entangled particles, and many, many more. But none of that really matters, so in general, when they started studying matter on a small scale, let's just say that it was whack. A great example, one of many, of how wacky this stuff actually is the double slit experiment. Here, there is a wall with 2 slits in it. If you were to throw matter at it, say, Cheetos, you would expect the Cheetos to land as 2 lines on the back wall. Cool, what does that even mean? All that's doing is making me hungry. Well, if you were to shine light at it instead, it wouldn't make the same pattern as matter, the Cheetos. Rather, it would make a wave-like pattern, where the lines on the back wall indicate where the waves intersect, rather than where the matter landed. It's much like if waves of water were to pass through the slits. And this shows that light is made of waves of energy rather than matter. But what if you threw matter at the slits, not as full Cheetos, but as small Cheeto particles? Well, if you threw tiny, tiny, tiny Cheeto particles instead of full Cheetos at the slits, they wouldn't act like matter anymore. They would act like a wave, with the same pattern as light. Huh? Matter on a small scale is actually a wave? Many would think that the Cheeto particles could just be bouncing off of each other to land in this weird wave pattern rather than in 2 lines, like how the full Cheetos did. So, say this experiment is done with each small Cheeto particle individually shot directly at the 2 slits one at a time. Well, the same wave-like pattern would still show up. Huh? That shows that if one Cheeto particle is shot directly at 2 slits, it seems as though not only splits apart into 2 Cheeto particles to go through each slit, then combines into 1 Cheeto particle, but also intersects with itself to make the same wave pattern. To find out what is really going on here, let's do this exact experiment again and observe this split. Wait, where did the wave pattern go? It's just 2 lines now. So if we did the same exact experiment with Cheeto particles that caused a wave-like pattern, with the only difference being the fact that we observed the particles themselves rather than the effect they had, the pattern changes completely and acts as if we threw full Cheetos. Many may believe that the particles act differently because they know that they're being observed, But this is just not true. It's not that the particles act differently as a response of being observed. It's that our version of the particles don't actually exist, and we observe them to be seen as existing only from a scale that they are not a part of. So, the table you're sitting at right now, your own arms and legs, and the clothes currently on your skin only exist because it's your brain's interpretation of something that is just not there. So, what does this tell us? Everything is made of the same thing as light, energy. And matter is only an interpretation. Nothing is real. Disagreeing with this is disagreeing with Albert Einstein, Isaac Newton, Richard Feynman, other renowned physicists, and quantum mechanics itself. Now, many may say that if science is about studying our world and collecting data, then how does it say all of this? And to that, I would agree that science cannot answer the mysteries of the universe. However, it can be used to. Now, scientists never directly stated that Adam and Eve were not the first humans on Earth. But they did say that they could not disprove the theory of evolution. Now, in the same way, scientists never said that nothing is real. But they did say that they could not prove the existence of matter outside of our observation without being energy. That is up to the public to figure that out themselves. This is why it's so important for this information to be accessible to the public and in our attention. Because, well, scientists can only present the data that they found. The job of deciding what it implies is up to those who read it. It's probably one of the only things that are guaranteed to determine what every single person's day-to-day and life to be like. This is earth-shattering information that's been lost over the past 200 years because of elite gatekeeping in the scientific community and because of, well, I would much rather spend 15 hours rotting in my bed watching TikTok than think about this. Matter is an interpretation of energy, and the public must know. Physics has long supported this fact since the late 1800s, but the public has yet to know because physics is pretty much unreadable and it's not in the public's attention. When it's the public's job to infer what the data means, specifically what it implies about their previous views, their religion, what they think is important, how they spend their time, their relationships, and existence. Now, this isn't just, wow, that's so mind-blowing, or wow, that's so deep. This isn't just a fun fact to tell your friends or a philosophical topic to bring up when you feel awkward at a party. Nothing you think is real is even close to the truth. Scientific data stays true, no matter how much you disagree with it, no matter how confusing the data is or how little it is in the public's attention. This will follow you throughout your life. It is true as you watch the screen play, when this video ends, the next time you walk out this room, when you go to your next class or meal, next week, next month, when you graduate, when you see your child's eyes for the first time, when you go through your worst heartbreak, when you finally feel content in life, when you see your first gray hair, no matter how quickly you forget and move on with your day, no matter how distracted you are from it, it will be there, enveloping as much of your existence as it did before. The only question is, do you prefer comfort or the truth? In other words, how afraid are you?